Right.
Now
So do y'all know how many kids you've been able to read to or
I
have
know that
joined?
is one that's joining us from Health Park, I believe.
Okay.
So we've got one. And again, what I'm doing is I just recorded it again. I started new
Okay.
recording. So you're on it now, Dr.
Oh,
Takagishi.
okay, great.
And if I have to merge them together, I'm sure that our students will teach me how to do that.
They're very smart people.
Right.
I was trying to say, I did not look for Dr. Seuss backgrounds, but I might at least be able to do all the bubbly things that are fun. So let's see. Background effects.
I love her costume. That is so cute.
Thank you. All right, at least I got bubbles. I'm a little bit more fun. I'm matching Audra. All right, so well, thank you guys all for joining us and for doing all the reading. That's so much fun and so appreciated. And we'll definitely get the word out as well. We've tried to figure out how we can get as many people in the division in the waiting areas as possible. I was going to actually head after this over to the area and I was going to bring my computer with me, but I didn't have a chance to end my other meeting and time to run across the street. So I'll go by afterward in my costume, and I also have my little cat in the hat mask, so
I
I'll be
love
safe,
it.
so I can be safe as well. So I'll be doing that in a few minutes after. So if you guys are still reading, I'll let you guys read, and I'll start walking over and see what's going on.
Great, thank you. And again, we're recording it. And would it be, what I'll do is afterwards, if it's not difficult, would it be possible for you to, for your staff to print out some of the handouts that I'll send?
Oh, sure.
Great. It's not like we did it 2 years ago when we came in person. But
Well,
hopefully we'll be doing it soon in person again. So we'll make it work. And
awesome.
thank you again. And
Cool.
we're all being flexible. And we have 4 more groups of students who will be reading. We've already read All the Places You'll Go, which is so appropriate for people of all ages.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we have another group starting. So we will make it work. And again, I will record it so that you can share it with the parents.
Wonderful.
What I'm going to do is I can record it as a Microsoft Teams, and then I'm going to have to upload it to YouTube so the parents can see it anytime.
Great.
So you can teach an old dog's new tricks. That's what I tell my dad, who's in his 90s. You can teach us old people new tricks, and we'll figure out how to make it work.
Awesome.
So thank you so much, Dr. Takagishi.
Thank you all. I'm going to go head over across the street and read to them as well. Bye.
Thank you so much. Okay, so now everyone, we're going to get started with our next story. And our next story will be read by another group of Judy Genshaft Honors College students, Divya, Megan, and Padma. And they're going to read Thudwick, the Big-Hearted Moose by Dr. Seuss. So why don't you all get started, please?
Hi everyone, so my name is Divya and I'm a psychology criminology major and I hope to become a lawyer in the future.
I am Megan, also one of the members of the Judy Genshaft Honors College, and my aspirations is to someday be a neurosurgeon after graduating with biomedical sciences and psychology.
Hi, I'm Padma. I am majoring in biomedical sciences and minoring in entrepreneurship. I'm also a member of the Judy Genshaft Honors College, and hopefully I aspire to be a physician and pursue a career in global healthcare.
I'm going to be screen sharing now.
All right, so we're going to be reading Thudwick, the Big-Hearted Moose by Dr. Seuss. Up at Lake Winnebago, the far northern shore, lives a huge herd of moose, about 60 or more, and they all go around in a big happy bunch looking for nice tender moose moss to munch. Up at Lake Winnebago one day they were lunching, just strolling along and enjoying their munching, for the moose moss that day was especially fine, when it happened that Thidwick, the last moose in line, saw a bingle bug sitting. The bug called out, "Hey, it's such a long road, and it's such a hot day. Would you mind if I rode on your horns for a way?" "Of course not," smiled Thidwick, the big-hearted moose. "I'm happy my antlers can be of some use. There's room there to spare, and I'm happy to share. Be my guest, and I hope that you're comfortable there." So the binglebug picked out a nice easy seat, and the moose went on looking for moose moss to eat. Well, an hour or so later the bug heard a squeak, and he heard the small voice of a tree spider speak. "I say," said the spider, "you've got a fine place. That moose seems quite friendly, has such a nice face. If I got on too, do you think he would mind?" "Hop aboard," laughed the bug, "and I think that you'll find that the moose won't object. He's the big-hearted kind." "I accept," said the spider with joy and delight, and he started a web on the horn to the right. While the spider was spinning, he heard a gay song, and a fresh little zinazoo bird came along. He stopped, and he stared, and he chirped, "Well, well, well! What a smart place to build! What a great place to dwell! I've been living on tree ever since I was born. But here's something new. Why not live on a horn? If there's room there for two, then there's room there for three. There's plenty of room," laughed the bug, "and it's free." Thidwick stopped walking. What was all that talking? These guests had caught Thidwick the moose unawares. "Hey," he called out, "what goes on there upstairs?" "Just building a nest, sir," the zinazoo said, and began yanking hairs out of poor Thidwick's head, and he plucked out exactly 204. "Don't worry," he laughed, "you can always grow more." Then he dozed off to sleep in his fine moose hair nest. "This bird," murmured Thidwick, "is sort of a pest, but I'm a good sport, so I'll just let him rest, for a host above all must be nice to his guest."
Besides now, it's getting quite late in the day, and surely tomorrow they'll all go away. But alas, the next morning the sun's early light brought to Thidwick's sad eyes a most unwelcome sight. "Meet my wife," said the bird. "I was married last night. And perhaps, by the way, I should mention to you that her uncle is coming to live with us too. You're a very fine host, so I knew you'd be willing." Then the uncle, a woodpecker, started drilling. All Thidwick's friends shouted, "Get rid of those pests!" "I would, but I can't," sobbed poor Thidwick. "They're guests." "Guests indeed," his friends answered, and all of them frowned. "If those are your guests, we don't want you around. You can't stay with us, 'cause you're just not our sort." And they all turned their backs and walked off with a snort. Now the big friendless moose walked alone and forlorn, with 4 great big woodpecker holes in his horn. "What holes?" whispered Herman, a squirrel who spied him. "What holes to hide nuts in? Mind if I try them?" "They're yours," called the woodpecker. "Get right inside them. This big-hearted moose runs a public hotel. Bring your nuts, bring your wife, bring your children as well." So the whole squirrel family all jumped on, pell-mell. And the very next thing, the poor animal knew, a bobcat and turtle were living there too. Now what was the big-hearted moose going to do? Well, what would you do if it happened to you? You can't say scat, 'cause that wouldn't be right. You couldn't shout scram, 'cause that isn't polite. A host has to put up with all kinds of pests. For a host, above all, must be nice to his guests. So you try hard to smile, and you tried to look sweet, and you'd go right on looking for moose moss to eat. But now it was winter, and that wasn't easy, for moose moss gets scarce when the weather gets freezy. The food was soon gone on the cold northern shore of Lake Winnebago. There just was no more, and all Didwick's friends swam away in a bunch to the south of the lake where there's moose moss to munch. He watched the herd leaving, and then Didwick knew he'd starve if he stayed there. He'd have to go too. He stepped in the water. Then, oh, what a fuss! Stop! Screamed his guest. You can't do this to us. These horns are our home, and you've no right to take our home to the far distant side of the lake. Be fair, Didwick begged, with a lump in his throat. We're fair, said the bug. We'll decide this by vote. All those in favor of going say aye. All those in favor of staying say nay. Aye, shouted Didwick, but when he was done, nay, they all yelled. He lost 11-1. We win, screamed the guest, by a very large score. And poor starving Didwick climbed back on the shore. Then, do you know what those pests did? They asked in some more. They asked in a fox who jumped in from the trees. They asked in some mice, and they asked in some fleas. They asked a big bear, and then, if you please, came a swarm of 362 bees. Poor Didwick sank down with a groan to his knees, and then came something that made his heart freeze.
Bullets came zinging right past Didwick's face. Guns were bang-banging all over the place. Get that moose! Get that moose! Didwick heard a voice call. Fire again and again, and shoot straight, one and all. We must get his head for the Harvard Club wall. Didwick took to his heels with that load on his head. With 500 pounds on his horns, the moose fled. He could have run faster without all those pests, but a host, above all, must be nice to his guests. Up canyon, off cliff, over wild rocky trail, with bullets bang bouncing around him like hail. Up gully, through gulch, and down slippery sluice, with his hard-hearted guests raced the soft-hearted moose. Then finally, they had him. Because of those pests, he had run out of luck. Because of those guests on his horns, he was stuck. He gasped, he felt faint, and the whole world grew fuzzy. Didwick was finished, completely. Or was he? Finished? Not Didwick, decidedly not. It's true, he was in a most terrible spot, but now he remembered a thing he'd forgot, a wonderful something that happens each year to the horns of all moose and the horns of all deer. Today was the day, Didwick happened to know. That old horns come off so that new ones can grow. And he called to the pests on his horns as he threw 'em. You wanted my horns? Now you're quite welcome to 'em. Keep 'em. They're yours. As for me, I shall take myself to the far distant side of the lake. And he swam Winnebago and found his old bunch and arrived just in time for a wonderful lunch at the south of the lake where there's moose moss to munch. His old horns today are where you know they would be. His guests are still on them, all stuffed as they should be. The end. Thank you for listening, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed that. Now, Megan, would you be able to share the bookmarks? So here are some bookmarks that you can use to encourage students to read the books, and these are some fun ones. This one reads, "Oh, the places you'll go." And Megan, I think there's another bookmark. Can you share that one too? I'm really glad you like these bookmarks, guys.
That was wonderful. Thank you all for doing such a great job.
Thank
Can you
you.
hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Thank you, Divya, Megan, and Padma for doing such a great job with sharing the bookmarks and Sudwick the Big-Hearted Moose by Dr. Seuss. Now we have another group of students who will read, and that will be group 3, and Joseph and Dora and Tiandrique. And as I understand, you're going to read The Cat in the Hat. So let's turn it over to their group. And they're with Motivating Black Students into Medicine. So we'd love for you to introduce yourselves too.
Hi, my name is Joseph.
Hi, my name is Tiandrini.
Hello, my name is Endora.
And we are motivating Black students into medicine. And today we'll be reading The Cat in the Hat.
The sun did not shine. It was too wet to play. So we sat in the house all cold, wet day. I sat there with Sally. We sat there, we're two, and I said how I wish we had something to do. Too wet to go out and too cold to play ball. So we sat in the house and we did nothing at all. So all we could do was sit, sit, sit. We did not like it, not one little bit. And then something would bump. How that bump made us jump. We looked and we saw him step on the mat. We looked and we saw him, the cat in the hat. And so he said to us, "Why do you sit there like that? I know it is wet and the sun is not sunny, but we can have lots of good fun. That is funny." "I know some good games we can play," said the cat. "I know some new tricks," said the cat in the hat. "A lot of good tricks. I will show them to you. Your mother will not mind at all if I do." Then Sally and I did not know what to say. Our mother was out of the house for the day. But our fish said, "No, no, make that cat go away. Tell the cat in the hat you do not want to play. He should not be here. He should not be about. He should not be here when your mother is out." Now, have no fear," said the cat. "My tricks are not bad," said the cat in the hat. "Why, we can have lots of good fun if you wish with the game that I call up with a fish." "Put me down," said the fish. "This is no fun at all." "Put me down," said the fish. "I do not wish to fall." "Have no fear," said the cat. "I will not let you fall. I will hold you up high as I stand on a ball, with a book on one hand and a cup on my hat. But that is not all I can do," said the cat. Look at me now," said the cat, "with a cup and a cape on the top of my hat. I can hold up two books, I can hold up fish and little toy ship. and some milk on a dish. And look, I can hop up and down on the ball, but that is not all. Oh no, that is not all. Look at me, look at me, look at me now. It is fun to have fun, but you have to know how. I can hold up the cup and the milk and the cake. I can hold up these books and the fish on a rake. I can hold up the toy ship and the little toy man, and look, with my tail, I can hold a red fan. I can fan with the fan and I hop on the ball, but that is not all. Oh no, that is not all.
That is what the cat said. Then he fell on his head. He came down with a bump from up there on the ball, and Sally and I, we saw all the things fall. And our fish came down too. He fell into a pot. He said, "Do I like this? Oh no, I do not. This is not a good game," said our fish as he lit. "No, I do not like it. Not one little bit." "Now look what you did," said the fish to the cat. "Now look at this house. Look at this. Look at that. You sank our toy ship, sank it deep in the cake. You shook up our house, and you bent our new rake. You should not be here when our mother is not. You should get out of this house," said the fish in the pot. "But I like it here. Oh, I like it a lot," said the cat in the hat to the fish in the pot. "I will not go away. I do not wish to go." "And so," said the cat in the hat, so, I will show you another good game that I know." And then he ran out, and then, fast as a fox, the cat in the hat came back in with a box, a big red wood box. It was shut with a hook. "Now look at this trick," said the cat. "Take a look." Then he got up on top with a tip of his hat. "I call this game Fun in a Box," said the cat. "In this box are two things I will show to you now. You will like these two things," said the cat with a bow. "I will pick up the hook. You will see something new. Two things, and I call them thing one and thing two. These things will not bite you. They want to have fun." Then out of the box came thing one, thing two, and thing one, and they ran to us fast. They said, "How do you do? Would you like to shake hands with thing one and thing two?" And Sally and I did not know what to do. So we had to shake hands with thing one and thing two. We shook their two hands, but our fish said, "No, no, those things should not be in this house. Make them go. They should not be here when your mother is not. Put them out," said the fish in the pot. "Have no fear, little fish," said the cat in the hat. "These things are good things," and he gave them a pat. "They are tame, oh, so tame. They have come here to play. They will give you some fun on this wet, wet, wet day." "Now here is a game that they like," said the cat. "They like to fly kites," said the cat in the hat. "No, not in this house," said the fish in the pot. "They should not fly kites. In a house, they should not. All the things that they will bump, all the things they will hit. Oh, I do not like it. Not one little bit."
Then Sally and I saw them run down the hall. We saw those two things bump their kites on the wall. Bump, thump, thump, bump, down the wall in the hall. Thing two and thing one. They run up, they ran down. On the string of one kite, we saw mother's new gown. Her gown with the dots that are pink, white, and red. Then we saw one kite bump on the head of her bed. Then those things run about, with big bumps, jumps, and kicks, and with hops and big thumps, and all kinds of bad tricks. And I said, I do not like the way that they play. If mother could see this, oh, what would she say? Then our fish said, Look, look. And our fish shook with fear. Your mother is on her way home. Do you hear? Oh, what will she do to us? What will she say? Oh, she would not like it to find us this way. So do something fast, said the fish. Do you hear? I saw her, your mother. Your mother is near. So as fast as you can, think of something to do. You will have to get rid of thing 1 and thing 2. So as fast as I could, I went after my net, and I said, with my net, I can get them, I bet. I bet with my net, I can get those things yet. Then I let down my net. It came down with a plop, and I had them. At last, those 2 things had to stop. Then I said to the cat, now you do as I say. You pack up those things and you take them away. Oh dear, said the cat, you do not like our game. Oh dear, what a shame, what a shame, what a shame. That is good, said the fish. He has gone away. Yes, but your mother will, no, and sorry. Then he shut up the thing in the box with the hook, and the cat went away with a sad kind of look. That is good, said the fish. He has gone away. Yes, but your mother will come. She will find this big mess. And this mess is so big, and it's so deep and so tall. We cannot pick it up. There is no way at all. And then, who is back in the house? Why, the cat. Have no fear of this mess, said the cat in the hat. I always pick up all my playthings. And so, I will show you another good trick that I know. Then we saw him pick up all the things that were down. He picked up the cake and the rake and the gown and the milk and the strings and the books and the dish and the fan and the cup and the ship and the fish. And he put them away. Then he said, that is that. And then he was gone with a tip of his hat. Then our mother came in and she said to us too, did you have any fun? Tell me, what did you do? And Sally and I did not know what to say. Should we tell her the things that went on here that day? Should we tell her about it? Now what should we do? Well, what would you do if your mother asked you?
And our activity right here, there's a drawing sheet that we have. It kind of talks about the places that we'll go. So, what are some things that you would like to do? What are things you want to be when you grow up? You want to be a doctor, a lawyer? Do you want to be a pilot, a teacher, an actor? Where do you want to go? Do you want to go to Europe, Africa, the East, the moon? So, as you think about those things, draw some things out. I think there should be some sheets there, but draw some things out. Yeah.
That was wonderful. You did a great job motivating Black students into medicine group, and thank you so much. And I will I'll work with USF Pediatrics so we can have those sheets available in the waiting room. So thank you. Now we have another, and again, excellent. And we will be making this recording available to the USF Pediatrics physicians and staff so they can share it with parents. So thank you. Now we have another fantastic group of students from Motivating Black Students into Medicine. And Tabitha, Jessica, and Senjuka, and they're going to read the lyrics. So we'll have you all get started now, and thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tabitha. I'm the Vice President of Motivating Black Students into Medicine, and I'm also a senior at USF, majoring in biomedical sciences, and I plan on becoming a cardiothoracic surgeon.
Hi, my name is Jessica. I'm the Secretary for Motivating Black Students into Medicine. I'm a junior and a cell and molecular biology major, and I hope to become an otolaryngologist.
Hi everyone, my name is Sinjuka. I'm a friend of Tabitha's and I'm a biomedical science major and I hope to be a doctor in the future.
All right, so we'll get started and I'll share my screen. Okay. And you can go ahead, Moon.
All right, so I will begin reading. It's The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. At the far end of town, where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing, excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today, where the Lorax once stood, just as long as it could, before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax, and why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town, where the grickle grass grows? The old Onceler still lives here. Ask him, he knows. You won't see the Onceler. Don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkin, cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of muffered moof. And on special dank midnights in August he peeks out of the shutters and sometimes he speaks, and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. On the end of a rope he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail, and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather snail. He pulls up the pail, makes a most careful count to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you paid him away in his snub, his secret strange hole in his grovulous glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper my phone, for the secrets I tell are for your ears alone. Slop! Down slops the whisper muffone to your ear, and the old Onceler's whispers are not very clear, since they have to come down through a snurgly hose, and he sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. Way back in the days when the grass was still green, and the pond was still wet, and the clouds were still clean, and the song of the swomy swans rang out in the space. One morning I came to this glorious place, and I first saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright-colored tufts of the truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees I saw brown bar-baloots, frisking about in their bar-baloot suits, as they played in the shade and ate truffula fruits. From the ripulous pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming while splashing around. But those trees, those truffula trees, All my life I'd been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh buttery milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what I'd do. I unloaded my cart. In no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down a truffula tree with one chop, and with great skillful skill, and with great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft and knitted a thneed. The instant I'd finished, I heard a gazump. I looked. I saw something pop out of a stump of the tree I'd chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. "Mister," he said, with a sawdusty sneeze, "I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. And I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs." He was very upset as he shouted and puffed. "What's that thing you've made out of my truffula tuft?" "Look, Lorax," I said, "there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I am doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. A thneed's a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat, but it has other uses. Yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or covers for bicycle seats." The Lorax said, "Sir, you are crazy with greed. There's no one on earth who would buy that fool thneed."
But the very next minute, I proved he was wrong. For just at that minute, a chap came along, and he thought that the thneed I had knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. "You poor stupid guy, you never can tell what some people will buy." "I repeat," cried the Lorax, "I speak for the trees." "I'm busy," I told him. "Shut up, if you please." I rushed across the room and in no time at all built a radio phone. I put in a quick call. I called all my brothers and uncles and aunts, and I said, "Listen here, here's a wonderful chance for the whole Wunsler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast, take the road to North Nitch, turn left at Weehawken, sharp right at South Stitch." And in no time at all, in the factory I built, the whole Wunsler family was working full tilt. We were knitting thneeds, just as busy as bees, to the sound of the chopping of the truffula trees. Then, oh baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which whacked off 4 truffula trees at one smacker. We were making thneeds 4 times as fast as before, and that Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. But the next week he knocked on my new office door. He snapped, "I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge of the brown barbaloots who played in the shade in their barbaloot suits and happily lived eating truffula fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffula fruit to go round. And my poor barbaloots are all getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. They loved living here, but I can't tell them to stay, or I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys," he cried, and he sent them away. I, the Wunsler, felt sad as I watched them all go. But business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. I meant no harm. I most truly did not. But I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, I biggered the loads of the needs I shipped out. I was shipping them forth from the south to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went on biggering, selling more needs, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs. Then again he came back. I was fixing some pipes when that old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. I am the Lorax, he coughed and whiffed. He sneezed and snuffled, he gargled, he sniffed. Onceler, he cried with a crufulous croak, Onceler, you're making such smogulous smoke. My poor swami swans, why, they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in his throat. And so, said the Lorax, please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Go ahead, Jessica.
Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape from the smog you've smogged up around here. What's more, snapped the Lorax, his dander was up. Let me say a few words about Gluppity Glub. Your machinery chugs on, day and night without stop, making Gluppity Glub and Sloppity Slop. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old Onceler man, you. You're glumping the pond where the humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off. Oh, their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary, in search of some water that isn't so smeary. And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax, now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap yap and say bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering, turning more truffula trees into needs, which everyone needs. And at that very moment, we heard a loud whack. From outside in the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall, the very last truffula tree of them all. No more trees, no more needs, no more work to be done. So in no time, my uncles and aunts, everyone, all waved me goodbye. They jumped into my cars and drove away under the smoke-smuggered stars. Now all that was left neath the bad-smelling sky was my big empty factory, the Lorax and I. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance, just gave me a very sad, sad, backward glance, as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants, and I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hoisted himself and took leave of this place, through a hole in the smog without leaving a trace. And all that the Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks, with the one word, unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. That was long, long ago. But each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away. Through the years, while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. But now, says the oncelet, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch, calls the onceler. He lets something fall. It's a truffula seed. It's the last one of all. You're in charge of the last truffula seeds, and truffula trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new truffula, treat it with care, give it clean water and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest, protect it from axes that hack, then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back.
And that's the end of our book. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying and listening and reading. So this is for all of my students that also came to read. So parents, you can print this out for your students. They get a certificate of appreciation for reading. And we just want to congratulate you for taking the time to read with us today. So what we learned from the Lorax is that we have to make sure that we treat our environment around us with lots and lots of care. And we have to make sure that we're treating the earth with all the dignity and kindness that we would treat any other living thing, okay? So that's the end of our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that you did an excellent job. And also Earth Day will be coming up in April. So thank you so much. And what a great Dr. Seuss story. And now we have another group of students from the Judy Genshaft Honors College Volunteer Committee. And this is Audra, Tatiana, and Prakash. And they are going to read another great story. Horton Hears a Who. So let's get started, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Kent. Hi, everybody. My name is Audra Nikolaiski. I am a member of the Judy Genshaft Honors College Student Council, and that's who I'm joining you with today. I am an English major and a political science major and an education minor, so I have a lot on my plate. But basically, that just means that I want to be a professor and an author when I grow up. So children's literature and reading to you guys means a whole lot to me, and I am very excited to be here. And I am joined today by Tatiana and Prakash.
Hi, I'm Tatiana. I'm a first year here at USF. I'm majoring in communication sciences and disorders, and I have a minor in ABA. Basically, I just want to do speech language pathology or speech therapy.
Hello guys, my name is Prakash. I'm majoring in biomedical sciences and minoring in entrepreneurship. I'm in my second year of college right now, and I aspire to become a physician. All right, we'll get started with our story. Okay. Is everyone able to see?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Today we are going to be reading you Horton Hears a Who by Dr. Seuss, and we really hope you enjoy it. It is a wonderful story, and I hope that it shows you how important all types of people are, no matter what they look like or sound like or smell like even. Everyone is important in their own way, and I think this story is a good demonstration of that. So I will begin. Horton Hears a Who by Dr. Seuss. On the 15th of May, in the jungle of Newell, in the heat of the day, in the cool of the pool, he was splashing, enjoying the jungle's great joys, when Horton the elephant heard a small noise.
So Horton stopped splashing. He looked toward the sound. That's funny, thought Horton. There's no one around. Then he heard it again, just a very faint yelp, as if some tiny person were calling for help. As if some tiny, I'll help you, said Horton. But who are you? Where? He looked and he looked. He could see nothing there, but a small speck of dust blowing past through the air.
You're muted.
I say, murmured Horton, I've never heard tell of a small speck of dust that is able to yell. So you know what I think? Why, I think that there must be someone on top of that small speck of dust. Some sort of creature of a very small size, too small to be seen by an elephant's eyes.
Some poor little person who's shaking with fear that he'll blow in the pool. He has no way to steer. I'll just have to save him because, after all, a person's a person, no matter how small.
So gently and musing, the greatest of care, the elephant stretched his great trunk through the air, and he lifted the dust up and carried it over, and placed it down safe on a very soft clover.
You're muted.
Someone's keeping me. Sorry. Okay. Humph, humphed a voice. 'Twas a sour kangaroo. And the young kangaroo in her pouch said humph too. Why, that speck is as small as the head of a pin. A person on that? Why, there has never been.
Believe me, said Horton, I tell you sincerely. My ears are quite keen, and I heard him quite clearly. I know there's a person down there, and what's more, quite likely there's two, even three, even four. Quite likely a family for all that we know, a family with children just starting to grow. So please, Horton said, as a favor to me, try not to disturb them. Just please let them be.
I think you're a fool, laughed the sour kangaroo. And the young kangaroo in her pouch said, me too. You're the biggest blamed fool in the jungle of Newell. And the kangaroos plunged in the cool of the pool. What terrible splashing, the elephant frowned. I can't let my very small persons get drowned. I've got to protect them. I'm bigger than they. So we plucked up the clover and hustled away.
Through the high jungle treetops, the news quickly spread. He talks to a dust speck. He's out of his head. Just look at him walk with that speck on that flower. And Horton walked worrying almost an hour. Should I put this speck down? Horton thought with an alarm. If I do, these small persons may come to great harm. I can't put it down, and I won't. After all, a person's a person, no matter how small.
Then Horton stopped walking. The speck voice was talking. The voice was so faint he could just barely hear it. Speak up, please, said Horton. He put his ear near it. My friend, came the whisper, you're a very fine friend. You've helped all us folks on the speck to no end. You've saved all our houses, our ceilings and floors. You've saved all the churches and grocery stores.
You mean, Horton gasped, you have buildings there too? Oh yes, piped the voice, we most certainly do. I know, called the voice, I'm too small to be seen, but I'm mayor of a town that's friendly and clean. Our buildings to you would seem terribly small, but to us who aren't big, they are wonderfully tall. My town is called Whoville, for I am a Who, and we Whos are all thankful and grateful to you. And Horton called back to the mayor of the town, you're safe now, don't worry, I won't let you down.
But just as he spoke to the mayor of the speck, 3 big jungle monkeys climbed up Horton's neck. The Wickersham brothers came shouting, what rot! This elephant's talking to Whos who are not? There aren't any Whos, and they don't have a mayor, and we're going to stop all this nonsense, so there.
They snatched Horton's clover, they carried it off to a black-bottomed eagle named Vladikoff, a mighty strong eagle, of very swift wing, and they said, will you kindly get rid of this thing? And before the poor elephant could even speak, the eagle flew off with the flower in his beak.
All that late afternoon and far into the night, that black-bottomed bird flapped his wings in fast sight, while Horton chased after with groans over stones that tattered his toenails and battered his bones, and begged, "Please don't harm all my little folks who have as much right to live as us bigger folks do." But far, far beyond him that eagle kept flapping, and over his shoulder he called back, "Quit your yapping. I'll fly the night through, I'm a bird, I don't mind it, and I'll hide this tomorrow where you'll never find it."
And at 6:56 the next morning, he did it. It sure was a terrible place that he hid it. He let that small clover drop somewhere inside of a great patch of clovers 100 miles wide. "Find that," sneered the bird, "but I think you will fail." But he left with a flip of his black-bottomed tail.
"I'll find it," cried Horton. "I'll find it or bust. I shall find my friends on my small speck of dust." And clover by clover by clover with care, he picked up and searched them and called, "Are you there?" But clover by clover by clover he found that the one that he sought for was just not around. And by noon poor old Horton, more dead than alive, had picked, searched, and piled up 9,005.
Then on through the afternoon, hour after hour, till he found them at last on the 3,000,000th flower. "My friends," cried the elephant, "tell me, do tell, are you safe? Are you sound? Are you whole? Are you well?"
From down on the speck came the voice of the mayor. "We really had trouble, but more than our share. When that black-bottomed birdie let go and we dropped, we landed so hard that our clocks have all stopped. Our teapots are broken, our rocking chairs smashed, and our bicycle tires all blew up when we crashed. So Horton, please," pleaded that voice of the mayor's, "will you stick by us while we're making repairs?" "Of course," Horton answered. "Of course I will stick. I will stick by you small folks, through thin and through thick."
"Humph!" humphed a voice. "For almost 2 days you've run wild and insisted on chatting with persons who've never existed. Such carryings on in our peaceable jungle, we've had quite enough of your bellowing bungle. And I'm here to state," snapped the big kangaroo, "that your silly nonsensical game is all through." And the young kangaroo in her pouch said, "Me too."
With the help of the Wickersham brothers and dozens of Wickersham uncles and Wickersham cousins, and Wickersham in-laws whose help I've engaged, you're going to be roped, you're going to be caged. And as for your dustback, ha! That we shall boil in a hot steaming kettle of bezelnut oil. "Boil it," gasped Horton. "Oh, that you can't do. It's all full of persons. They'll prove it to you."
"Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor," Horton called. "Mr. Mayor, you've got to prove now that you really are there. You call a big meeting, get everyone out, make every who holler, make every who shout, make every who scream. If you don't know, every who is going to end up in a betel nut stew."
And down on the dust speck, the scared little mayor, quick, called a big meeting in Whoville Town Square, and his people cried loudly. They cried out in fear, "We are here, we are here, we are here, we are here."
The elephant smiled. "That was clear as a bell. You kangaroos surely heard that very well." "All I heard," snapped the big kangaroo, "was the breeze and the faint sound of wind through the far distant trees. I heard no small voices, and you didn't either. And the young kangaroo in her pouch said, "Me neither."
"Grab him!" they shouted, "and the cage the big dope. Lasso his stomach with 10 miles of rope. Tie the knots tight so he'll never shake loose. Then dunk that dumb speck in the betel nut juice." Horton fought back with great vigor and vim, but the Wickersham gang was too many for him. They beat him, they mauled him, they started to haul him into his cage, but he managed to call to the mayor, "Don't give up. I believe in you all. A person's a person, no matter how small. And you very small persons will not have to die. If you make yourselves heard, so come on now and try."
The mayor grabbed a tom-tom, he started to smack it, and all over Whoville they whooped up a racket. They rattled tin carries, they banged on brass pans, on garbage pail tops, and old cranberry cans. They blew up bazookas and blasted great toots on clarinets, oompas, and boompas, and flutes.
Great gusts of loud racket rang high through the air. They rattled and shook the whole sky. And the mayor called up through the howling mad hubbub, "Hey Horton, how's this? Is our sound coming through?" And Horton called back, "I can hear you just fine, but the kangaroo's ears aren't as strong as quite as mine. They don't hear a thing. Are you sure all your boys are doing their best? Are they all making noise? Are you sure every who down in Whoville is working? Quick look through your town, is there anyone shirking?"
Through the town rushed the mayor, from east to west, but everyone seemed to be doing his best. Everyone seemed to be yapping or yipping, everyone seemed to be beeping or bipping, but it wasn't enough. All this ruckus and war. He had to find someone to help him make more. He raced through each building, he searched floor to floor.
And just as he felt he was getting nowhere and almost about to give up in despair, he suddenly burst through a door, and that mayor discovered one shirker quite hidden away in the Fairfax Apartments, apartment 12J. A very small shirker named Jojo was standing, just standing, and bouncing a yo-yo, not making a sound, not a yip, not a chirp. And the mayor rushed inside, and he grabbed the young twerp.
And he climbed the lad up the Eiffelberg Tower. "This," cried the mayor, "is your town's darkest hour. The time for all who have blood that is red, to come to the aid of their country," he said. "We've got to make noises in greater amounts, so open your mouth, lad, for every voice counts." Thus he spoke as he climbed. When they got to the top, the lad cleared his throat and shouted out, "Yop!"
And that yop, that one small extra yop, put it over. Finally, at last, from that speck on that clover, their voices were heard. They rang out clear and clean, and the elephant smiled. "Do you see what I mean? They've proved they are persons, no matter how small, and their world was saved by the smallest of all." "How true, yes, how true," said the big kangaroo. "And from now on, you know what I'm planning to do? From now on, I'm going to protect them with you." And the young kangaroo in her pouch said,
Me too. From sun in the summer, from rain when it's fallish, I'm going to protect them, no matter how smallish. The end. We really hoped you guys liked that story. We really enjoyed reading it to you. Thank you so much for joining us in this excellent Doctor Who trial, and we really hoped you liked getting to have time with Horton today.
Thank you. That was great. Now we do have time, since it's not 3:30. If any of our groups would like to read any more stories, would any of our groups like to read some more stories today, since we are recording this? Would Divya Megan and Padma, would your both group like to read another story? Because I figured that since we're already recording it, we can keep going and we'll have this available to the parents if that's good for you. Would anyone, would your group like to read again, Divya, Megan, and Padma?
I'm free to read again, but I don't know about Megan or Padma if you guys are available.
Yes, that's fine.
Great, wonderful. Would you like to read the book that's on the email called Oh, the Things You Can Think?
Where is it?
It's on the email that I sent. Oh, the things you can think. And I can also put it in the chat.
Would you be able to put that in the chat?
Sure. Yes, let's definitely do this because I just heard from the staff at USF Pediatrics and the kids are really enjoying the reading. So let's keep going. Thank you, Dahlia. So we're going to keep going. We've got another book. Can you see that link? Is that working for you, Divya?
Yeah, I can see it.
Great, thank you. We will get started with another book real soon.
Padma, are you able to share your screen?
Yes. We can go in the same order.
All right, thank you.
Wonderful, everyone. And we're so glad that the children at USF Pediatrics clinics are enjoying the reading today. It's amazing what we can do with technology. Here we go. Wonderful. We did it. Beautiful. So your group will get started. And this is again the Judy Genshaft Honors College students. Thank you so much.
Oh, the Things You Can Think by Dr. Seuss. You can think up birds. That's what you can do. You can think about yellow, or you can think about blue. You can think about red. You can think about pink.
Excuse me, I think there's an echo. There's somebody. Yeah, I think Padma, I think you have a little echo. Do you want to try again?
Oh, the Things You Can Think by Dr. Seuss. You can think up some birds, that's what you can do. You can think about yellow or think about blue. You can think about red, you can think about pink, you can think up a horse, or the things you can think. Oh, the things you can think up, if only you try. If you try, you can think up a guff going by. And you don't have to stop. You can think about schlop, 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 beautiful schlop with a cherry on top.
You can think about gloves. You can think about snubs. You can think a long time about snubs and their gloves. You can think about Kitty O'Sullivan's cross and her big balloon swimming pool over her house.
Think of black water. Think up a white sky. Think up a boat. Think of blues blowing by. You can think about night, a night and none up. The birds are asleep and the 3 moons are up. You can think about day, a day and day dake. The water is blue and the birds are awake.
Think and wonder. Wonder and think. How much water can 55 elephants drink? You can wonder, how long is the tail of a zong? There are so many thinks that a thinker can think. Would you dare yank a tooth of the rinker fink? And what would you do if you met a jiboo? Oh, the things you can think. Think of the Peter the postman who crosses the ice once every day and on Saturdays twice. Think, you can think anything that you wish. Think of a race on a horse, on a ball with a fish. Think of a light, think of a bright, think of stairs in the night. Think a ship, think of a long trip. Go visit the Vipper of the Vip. And left, think of left, and think about beft. Why is it that beft always go to the left? And why is it so many things go to the right? You can think about that until Saturday night. Think left and think right, and think low and think high. Oh, the things you can think up if only you try. If only you try. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed reading that with us.
That was excellent. Thank you so much. Well, we still have time for another book. And we have the book, 2 other books we could read. We could read Dr. Seuss. Who would like to read Joseph? How about would your group like to read the Dr. Seuss's Sleep book? Would that be convenient for you?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be by myself this time, but I'm gonna try.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Would another student with, what we could do is Tabitha or Jessica or Sanjuka, would you like to join in with Joseph?
That's fine. Jessica had to step out, but I'm more than willing to go ahead. That's fine.
Great. Okay, so Joseph and Tabitha and Sanjuka, are you still there?
Sanjukta also had to step out.
Don't worry, you can, I'm sure you can do a great job. So we'll have Joseph and Tabitha with Motivating Black Students into Medicine, which is an outstanding undergraduate organization, just like the Judy Genshaft Honors College organization is fantastic. So Joseph and Tabitha will now read Dr. Seuss's Sleep book. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll be reading Dr. Seuss's Sleep book. This book is to be read in bed. The news just came in from the county of Keck that a very small bug by the name of Van Vleck is yawning so wide you can look down his neck. This may not seem very important, I know, but it is, so I'm bothering telling you so.
A yawn is quite catching, you see, like a cough. It just takes one yawn to start others other yawns off. Now that the news has come in that some friends of Van Vleck's are yawning so wide you can look down their necks. At this moment right now, under 7 more noses, great yawns are in blossom. They're blooming like roses.
The yawn of that one little bug is still spreading. According to the latest reports, it is heading across the wide fields, through the sleepy night air, across the whole country, toward every which where, and people are gradually starting to say, I feel rather drowsy. I've had quite a day.
Creatures are starting to think about rest. 2 biffer bomb birds are now building their nest. They do it each night, and often I wonder how they do this big job without making a blunder. But that is their problem, not yours and not mine. The point is, they're going to bed, and that's fine.
Sleep thoughts are spreading throughout the whole land. The time for night brushing of teeth is at hand. Up at Herkheimer Falls, where the great river rushes and crashes down crags in great gargling gushes, those Herkheimer sisters are using their brushes. Those falls are just grand for toothbrushing beneath, if you happen to be up that way with your teeth.
The news just came in from the castle of Krupp that the lights are all out and the drawbridge is up. And the old drawbridge drawer just said with a yawn, "Oh, my drawbridge is drawn and it's going to stay drawn till the milkman delivers the milk about dawn. I'm going to bed now, so nobody better come round with a special delivery letter."
The number of sleepers is steadily growing. Bed is where more and more people are going. In Culpeper Springs, in the Stiltwalkers Hall, the Stiltwalker stilts are all stacked on the wall. The Stiltwalkers walkers have called it a day. They're all tuckered out and they're snoozing away. This is very big news. It's important to know, and that's why I'm bothering telling you so.
Way out in the west, in the town of Merced, the Hinkle Horn Honking Club just went to bed. Every horn has been quietly hung on a hook for the night in its own private Hinkle Horn nook. All this long, happy day, they've been honking about, and the Hinkle Horn honkers have honked themselves out. But they'll wake up quite fresh in the morning, and then they'll start right in the Hinkle Horn honking again.
Everywhere creatures are falling asleep. The collapsible fink just collapsed in a heap. And by adding the frink to the others before, I am able to give you the Who's Asleep score. Right now, 40,404. Creatures are happily, deeply in slumber. I think you'll agree that's a whopping fine number.
Counting up sleepers, just how do we do it? Really quite simple. There's nothing much to it. We find out how many, we learn the amount by an audio tally o tally o count. On a mountain halfway between Reno and Rome, we have a machine in a plexiglass dome, which listens and looks into everyone's home, and whenever it sees a new sleeper go flop, it jiggles and lets a new big ol' ball drop. Our chap counts these balls as they plop in a cup, and that's how we know who is down and who's up.
Do you talk in your sleep? It's a wonderful sport, and I have some news of the sport to report. The world champion sleep talkers, Joe and Mored Zorf, have just gone to sleep, and they're talking their heads off. For 55 years now, each chattering brother has babbled and gaggled all night to the other. They talked about laws and they talked about gauze. They talked about paws and they talked about flaws. They talked quite a lot about old Santa Claus. And the reason I'm telling you this is because you should take up this sport. It's just fine for the jaws.
Do you walk in your sleep? I just had a report of some interesting news of this popular sport. Near Finnegan Fen, there's a sleepwalking group which not only walks, but it walks a loop-a-hoop. A la hoop. Every night they go miles. Why they walk to such length, they have to keep eating to keep up their strength. So every so often, one puts down his hoop, stops hooping, and does some quick snooping for soup. That's why they are known as the Hoop Soup Snoop Group.
Sleepwalking too are the curious crandles, who sleepwalk on hills with assorted-sized candles. The crandles walk nightly in slumbering peace, in spite of slight burns from the hot dripping grease. The crandles wear candles because they walk far, and if they wake up, want to see where they are.
Now the news has arrived from the Valley of Vale that a Chippendale mupp has just bitten its tail, which he does every night before shutting his eyes. Such nipping sounds silly, but really it's wise. He has no alarm clock, so this is the way. He makes sure that he'll wake at the right time of the day. His tail is so long he won't feel any pain till the nip makes the trip and gets up to his brain. In exactly 8 hours, the Chippendale mupp will at least feel the bite and yell, "Ouch!" and wake up.
A Mr. and Mrs. J. Carmichael Crocs have just gone to bed near the town of Fort Knox, and they, by the way, have the finest of clocks. I'm not at all sure that I quite understand just how the thing works with that one extra hand, but I do know this clock does one very slick trick. It doesn't tick-tock. How it goes is talk-tick. So with ticks in his talker and talks in his ticker, it saves lots of time, and the sleepers sleep quicker.
What a fine night for sleeping. From all that I hear, it's the best night for sleeping in many a year. They're even asleep in the Zweebag Motel, and people don't usually sleep there too well. The beds are like rocks, and as everyone knows, the sheets are too short. They won't cover your toes. So, if people are actually sleeping in there, it's a great night for sleeping. It must be the air.
It's a great night for snores. I just had a report of some boys who are tops in this musical sport. The snortiest snorers in all our fair land are Snorter McPhail and his Snort a Snort band. This band can snort Dixie and Old Swanee River so loud it would make 40 elephants shiver. The loudest of all the boys is McPhail. He snores with his head in a 3-gallon pail. So they snore in a cave 20 miles out of town. If they snore closer in, they would snore the town down.
Do you know who's asleep out in Funa Laguna? Two very nice Funa Laguna baboona. We've added them into our Who's Asleep count, which has grown to a really amazing amount. Exactly 8,808 creatures are sleeping now. Isn't that great?
A jed is in bed, and the bed of a jed is the softest of beds in the world, it is said. He makes it from pom-poms he grows on his head, and he's sleeping right now on the softest of fluff, completely exhausted from growing the stuff.
The news has come in from the district of Doft that two oft are asleep and they're sleeping aloft. And how are they able to sleep off the ground? I'll tell you. I weighed one last week and I found that an oft is so light he weighs minus 1 pound.
A moose is asleep. He is dreaming of moose drinks. A goose is asleep. He is dreaming of goose drinks. That's well and good when a moose dreams of moose juice. And nothing goes wrong when a goose dreams of goose juice. But it isn't too good when a moose and a goose start dreaming they're drinking the other one's juice. Moose juice, not goose juice, is juice for a moose. And goose juice, not moose juice, is juice for a goose. So when goose gets a mouthful of juices of mooses and mooses gets a mouthful of juices from gooses, they always fall out of their bed screaming screams. So I'm warning you now, never drink in your dreams.
Speaking of dreaming, I think you should note that the Bumble Tub Club is now dreaming afloat. Every night they go dreaming down Bubble Tub Creek, except for one night, every third or fourth week, when they stop for repairs because their Bumble tubs leak. But tonight they're afloat, full of dreams, full of bliss, and that's why I'm bothering telling you this.
At the fork of a road, in the vale of Valvode, 5-foot weary salesmen have laid down their load. All day they've raced around in the heat at top speeds, unsuccessfully trying to sell Zizzurzu seeds, which nobody wants because nobody needs. Tomorrow will come. They'll go back to their chore. They'll start on the road, Zizurzoofing once more. But tonight they've forgotten their feet are so sore, and that's what the wonderful nighttime is for.
Everywhere, creatures have shut off their voices. They've all gone to bed in the beds of their choices. They're sleeping in bushes, they're sleeping in crannies, some on their stomachs and some on their fannies. They're peacefully sleeping in comfortable holes, some even on soft-tufted barber shop poles. The number of sleepers is now past the millions. The number of sleepers is now in the billions.
They're sleeping on steps and on strings and on floors, in mailboxes, ships, and the keyholes of doors. Every worm on a fish hook is safe for the night. Every fish in the sea is too sleepy to bite. Every whale in the ocean has turned off his spout. Every light between here and far Foodle is out. And now, adding things up, we are way beyond billions. Over our Who's Asleep score is now up in the zillions.
99 zillion, 9 trillion and 2 creatures are sleeping. So, how about you?
When you put out your light, then the number will be 99 zillion, 9 trillion, and 3. And that is the end. Thank you guys so much.
That was fantastic. I wish I had that book to read to my kids when they couldn't fall asleep. Why didn't I know about that? So that was great. Do we have any more students who would like to read one more story? We have one more book that we could read, either If I Ran the Zoo or What Pet Should I Get? Because since you're here, you're welcome to keep reading. I see we've got 3 of you left. Would you like to try one more? We've got 4. Great. Would you like to try one more story for the wonderful kids who are waiting in the waiting room? Would that be convenient for about another five minutes? Great. Thank you so much.
I can share my screen.
Great. Thank you. So which story would you like to read? Would you like to do If I Ran the Zoo or What Pet Should I Get?
I can do If I Ran the Zoo.
Great. And I'm going to put that in. You're going to do, did you say If I Ran the Zoo?
Yes.
Great. Well, I'm going to put that in the chat room for you right now. And thank you so much, Joseph. I just put that in the chat room. Great teamwork, everyone. Thank you.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah. That sounds like a great idea. Thank you.
If I Ran the Zoo by Dr. Seuss. It's a pretty good zoo, said young Gerald McGrew, and the fellow who runs it seems proud of it too. So I'd open each cage, I'd unlock every pen, let the animals go, and start over again. And somehow or other, I think I could find some beasts of much more unusual kind. A four-footed lion's not much of a beast. The one in my zoo will have 10 feet at least. 5 legs on the left and 5 more on the right. Then people will stare and they'll say, "What a sight! The zookeeper, new keeper Gerald's quite keen. That's the gold-darnest lion I've ever seen." My new zoo, McGrew will make people talk. My new zoo, McGrew will make people gawk. At the strangest odd creatures that ever did walk, I'll get for my zoo a new sort of a hen, who roosts in another hen's top knot, and then another one roosts in the top knot of his, and another in his, and another in his, and so forth and upward and onward. Gee whiz! But that's just a start. I'll do better than that. They'll see me next day in my zookeeper's hat, coming into my zoo with an elephant cat. They'll be so surprised they'll all swallow their gum. They'll ask when they see my strange animals come, "Where do you suppose he gets things like that from? His animals all have such very odd faces. I'll bet he must hunt them in rather odd places." "And that's what I'll do," said young Gerald McGrew. "If you want to catch beasts you don't see every day, you have to go places quite out of the way. You have to go places no others can get to. You have to get cold and you have to get wet too. Up past the North Pole where the frozen winds squeal, I'll go and I'll hunt in my Skeaglemobile and bring back a family of what do you know? And that's how my new zoo, McGrew Zoo, will grow." I'll hunt in the mountains of Zomba-ma-tant with helpers who all wear their eyes at a slant, and capture a fine fluffy bird called the bustard, who only eats custard with sauce made of mustard, and also a very fine beast called the flustered, who only eats mustard with sauce made of custard. I'll catch 'em in caves and I'll catch 'em in brooks. I'll catch 'em in crannies, I'll catch 'em in nooks that you don't read about in geography books. I'll catch 'em in countries that no one can spell, like the country of Madafa-Padafa-Pel. In a country like that, if a hunter is clever, he'll hunt up some beast that you never saw ever. I'll load up 5 boats with a family of jotes whose feet are like cows but wear squirrel-skin coats, and sit down like dogs but have voices like goats, excepting that they can't sing the very high notes. And then I'll go down to the wilds of Nantucket and capture a family of lunks in a bucket. Then people will say, "Now I like that boy heaps. His new zoo, McGrew Zoo, is growing by leaps. He captures them wild and he captures them meek. He captures them slim and he captures them sleek. What do you suppose he will capture next week?" I'll capture one tiny, I'll capture one cute, I'll capture a deer that no hunter would shoot, a deer that's so nice he could sleep in your bed if it weren't for those horns that he has on his head. And speaking of horns that are just a bit queer, I'll bring back a very odd family of deer. A father, a mother, two sisters, a brother, whose horns are connected from one to the other, whose horns are so mixed they can't tell them apart, can't tell where they end and can't tell where they start. Each deer's mighty puzzled, he's never yet found if his horns are hers or the other way around. Do you want to read?
I'll capture them fat and I'll capture them scrawny. I'll capture Scragglefoot, Mulligatawny, a high-stepping animal fast as the wind from the blistering sands of the desert of Zend. This beast is the beast that the brave chieftains ride when they want to go fast to find some place to hide. A mulligatawny is fine for my zoo, and so is a chieftain. I'll bring one back too. In the far western part of southeast North Dakota lives a very fine animal called the iota. But I'll capture one who's even much finer in the northeastern west part of South Carolina. When people see him, they will say, "Now, by thunder, this new zoo, McGrew Zoo, is really a wonder." Most beasts are quite friendly, but still in some lands, some beasts are too dangerous to catch with bare hands. For those that are ugly and vicious and mean, I'll build a bad animal catching machine. It's rather expensive to build such a kit, but with it a hunter can never get bit. A zoo should have bugs, so I'll capture a thwirl whose legs are snarled up in a terrible snarl. And then I'll go out and I'll capture some chugs, some keen shooter, mean shooter, bean shooter bugs. I'll go to the African land of Yurka and bring back a tizzle-topped tufted mazurka, a kind of canary with quite a tall throat. His neck is so long, if he swallows an oat for breakfast the first day of April, they say, it has to go down such a very long way that it gets to his stomach the 15th of May. I'll bag a big bug who's very surprising, a feller who has a propeller for rising, and zooming around making cross-country hops from Texas to Boston with only 2 stops. Now that sort of thing for a bug is just tops. And when I've caught him, the next thing you know, I'll go and I'll capture a wild tic-tac-toe with X's that win and with zeros that lose. He'll look mighty good in the zoo of McGrews. I'll bring back a gusset, a gherkin, a gasket, and also a gooch from the wilds of Nantasket. And 8 Persian princes will carry the basket, but what their names are, I don't know, so don't ask it. In a cave in Khartoum lives a beast called a Natch that no other hunter's been able to catch. He's hidden for years in his cave with a pout, and no one's been able to make him come out. But I'll coax him out with a wonderful meal that's cooked by my cooks in my cooker mobile. They'll fix up a dish that is just to his taste, 3 chicken croquettes made of library paste, then sprinkled with peanut shucks pickled and spiced, then baked at 600 degrees and then iced. It's mighty hard cooking to cook up such feasts, but that's how the new zoo, McGrew Zoo, gets beasts. I'll go to the faraway mountains of Tobsk, near the river of Nobsk, and I'll bring back an Obsk, a sort of a thingamabobsk, who only eats rhubarb and corn on the cobs. Then people will flock to my zoo in a mobsk. McGrew, they will say, does a wonderful jobsk. He hunts with such vim and he hunts with such vigor. His new zoo, McGrew Zoo, gets bigger and bigger. And speaking of birds, there's the Russian Paluski, whose headski is redski and belly is blueski. I'll get one of them for my Zewski Magruski. Then the whole town will gasp, "Why, this boy never sleeps! No keeper before ever kept what he keeps!" There's no telling what that young fellow will do. And then, just to show them, I'll sail to Katru and bring back an Itkutch. I'll hunt in the jungles of Hippo no Hungus and bring back a flock of wild Bippo no Bungus. The Bippo no Bungus from Hippo no Hungus are better than those down in Dippo no Dungus and smarter than those out in Nippo no Nungus. And that's why I'll catch 'em in Hippo no Hungus instead of those others in Nungus and Dungus. And people will say when they see these bips bounding, this zookeeper, new keeper, simply astounding. He's traveled so far that you'd think he would drop. When do you suppose this young fellow will stop? Stop? Well, I should, but I won't stop until I've captured the Fizama Wizama Dill, the world's biggest bird from the island of Gork, who only eats pine trees and spits out the bark. And boy, when I get him back home to my park, the whole world will say, young McGrews made his mark. He's built a zoo better than Noah's whole ark. These wonderful, marvelous beasts that he chooses have made him the greatest of all the McGrewses. Yes, that's what I do, said young Gerald McGrew. I'd make a few changes if I ran the zoo. The end. I hope you liked that story. Thank you for reading with us.
Great job. And I will definitely say this has been like a read across America, readathon marathon. We have 3 students who are still with us, and thank you all so much. You did a great job. We are just finishing up now with our special readathon, Read Across America. And we would once again like to thank our students from USF who have contributed so much to this special event. What we'll be doing is I will be putting, oh, hi, Prakash is back, great. Let's get a picture of our 4 remaining students waving goodbye. Great. Okay. Great. And thank you so much. And what I will do is I will work as hard as I can. We're all busy. I'm a busy mom too. So I will work really hard to get the recording completed and the photo album done, and then I will send it to the wonderful pediatricians at our USF Health Pediatrics clinics. And thank you, and I hope to all the kids who are listening in the waiting room right now that you all enjoyed this and have a great day and stay healthy. And thank you so much. Take care. Bye.